Kisses, misses. Click, 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 click. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are not, welcome back. Hugs. Bougie kiss. Bougie kiss. Mwah. Y'all, I'm not even going to lie. I have been like working all day today. I've had some clients. I've done some content. I am hungry. I have a Chipotle bowl on the way. I cannot wait to devour it, but I'm low-key hangry. Okay, so if I seem a little groggy or something in this video, just know your sis she's been working. Okay, and I'm starving. Like, I just genuinely need a good meal in my stomach right now, because like, for real. But I wanted to film because I'm a real one. Oh, not the charger. Okay. Anyway, let's get it out the way. www.lawofassumptionprincess.com. As always, be sure to read that disclaimer in full. If you read the disclaimer, it will answer a majority of the questions that you have. Be sure to read the disclaimer. It says it at the top of the website before you can even click anything else. Read the disclaimer, okay? Thank you. Love you. Let's hop right into it. So, not too long ago, I saw this TikTok and it really resonated with me. And I don't even think that it was law of assumption. I know it wasn't law of assumption governed. It wasn't a law of assumption creator. It was just a person. And she was saying, do not be fooled by your surroundings. Do not let your surroundings convince you into thinking that you are going backwards. You are still different. You are still the person who has what it is that you want. You are a brand new, different version of yourself. You are not the person that you once were back before you knew better. You are still different. Progress is still being made. And that like really honestly resonated with me for obvious reasons, because we talk about this within the law all the time, right? We talk about how the 3D is very much so outdated and it can't be your point of reference. I tell y'all this all the time, but I know that yet and still, it's still a triggering thing for people when they think that the perspective, or when they think that the outside world is not changing, or they get tricked into thinking that nothing is changing because things don't look differently. And I really honestly felt like when I saw that video, I needed to bring it to you guys, because I was like, damn, I know that y'all be going through that sometime. I know. And I know that it can be frustrating, which is why I talked about changing your perspective, because when your perspective is different, the way that you are looking at your outside world is going to be different by default, right? It's so important not to get tricked into thinking that progress is not being made. I tell y'all all the time, I empathize with you. I empathize with your feelings. I empathize with your frustrations. I empathize with what is going on internally. I empathize with all of it, because I have once been there. And I know that sometimes it sounds like it's easier said than done. But when you really take a look at anything, in your life, and you look at it in a retrospect, right? Meaning you're on the other side of it now, right? Even when it comes to your present 3D circumstances, think about who you would have been if you would have not known about this law. If you would have still been operating off of 3D law, never took the time to try to rewire your subconscious, never took the time to utilize whatever you do, affirmation states, anything. Imagine who you would be, especially while reacting to your 3D reality. Those two versions of you are not the same people. And you have to give yourself some credit for that, because the fact that you, even if you feel like you're struggling, even if you feel like it's still a soft spot for you, the 3D, even if you feel like the 3D is still a soft spot for you and something that you get triggered over, imagine how triggered you would be if you never took any kind of initiative to change. And this is what I was talking about in my last upload. This is what I was saying when I said that perspective is the real movement, because that matters. That matters. Okay? Who you are being is different than who you have been before. And there is value in that. And I don't want you to underestimate that, because a lot of y'all will really bypass the progress that you have made because you feel like the big bad 3D is trying to be a bully and is sentient and it has some type of vendetta against you and all of these things and all of these grievances and whatnot, that you're so busy being upset, you're so busy convincing yourself that nothing is changing and nothing has moved forward, that you're not even giving yourself a pat on the back for how far you have come. X amount of time ago, you didn't even know what the hell the law of assumption was. You were still using it. Obviously, it just wasn't in your benefit, but you didn't even know what the law was. That counts for something. And I want you to not underestimate the ability that you have when it comes to your overall perspective of your story and your life. The fact that you are different means your 3D is different. The fact that you have changed means your 3D has changed, because you're not the same person that you used to be. You are not the helpless victim anymore. Even in those moments where you might be getting tricked and hoodwinked into thinking that's still who you are, I assure you, it's not. It's not who you are. It's not who you are anymore. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes in this community, the 3D is such an it factor. It is such an it factor. And I'm not saying that I don't get it, because I know that sometimes when you say stuff like this, people be like, well, what's the whole point? If I'm not going to get it in the 3D, what's the whole point? The whole point is you cannot get it in the 3D if you're not being different. That's why the fact that you are different from who you were before matters. Even if you're triggered, even if you're upset, even if you feel like you haven't found any forward movement, you're still working to, you have still made progress, because there was a point in time where you would look at your world every day and have that same exact thought. There would be a point in time where you wouldn't even think to look at your world and think that something can get better, and think that something can change, and think that that was possible. Thinking that possible was not an option for you. Now it is. And there's something to be said for that, right? So I don't want y'all to get, I don't want anyone to get, ooh, Chipotle coming already. Chipotle, he coming already. Kyle, he's on the way. Yes, yay. Your ego is a bitch, okay? Your ego thrives off of familiarity. It thrives off of comfortability. Even if it's something that you don't like and don't want to experience, your ego wants to pull you back down to that, because it knows that that is where you're comfortable and it wants to be right. Okay. So the fact that you are even in a space where you can have an awareness of the fact that, okay, I know that this is not who I am anymore. I know that I am not rooted in ego anymore. I know that I'm not rooted in lack anymore. You having that awareness, that is movement. I'm telling y'all, that's movement. That is amazing. Like, these things they're not for nothing. They're not for nothing. And I know y'all see the 3D changing as this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I get it, but it's gonna happen anyway. Like, it literally is gonna happen anyway, based off of who you're being and who you're deciding to show up as, which is why I'm trying to put the emphasis on the importance of giving yourself credit for that, because the 3D is going to change. Your surroundings will change because you are changing. I don't know. I feel like, should I get a snack? I should get a snack. I'm gonna get a snack because I feel like I'm not me when I'm hungry. If you put a buck in my cup, I will shut the fuck up. Sometimes you just gotta sit in silence and eat a snack. Like, for real. But yes, it's so important not to be conditioned and limited by your senses and by the 3D world. I don't care how many times I have to say it. I don't care if y'all are tired of hearing it. The 3D is a dead world. It's a dead world. It is a dead world. Drill it into your brain. Drill it into your brain. When things go on out here that we don't like, that we are not fond of, I promise you, even when your ego is trying to convince you otherwise. And that old line of thinking is trying to convince you otherwise. It is not the world trying to sabotage you. It is not anyone trying to come against you. It's not the universe trying to teach you a lesson. It's not any of these things. It is old programming. It is old programming, and it is trying to keep you stuck. Okay? Because it's familiar, and it's not even trying to do it out of, even your old programming isn't trying to necessarily hurt you. It's just, if anything, it's proof that the law works, because you have persisted in that storyline for so long that when something happens that you don't like, it essentially is doing its job. It's reminding you of what you know to be true. Your old self knows to be true, right? So that's why it can feel so horrible. It can feel so horrible when the 3D looks the same, or when it looks like the way it did when we, or if it does something that we thought was over or whatever. It feels horrible because it is triggering a part of us that we decided not to identify with anymore. But yet and still, it's not life taking you by the neck and choking the fuck out of you. And I think that is the narrative that a lot of people unknowingly adhere to, because it makes things easier to digest. It makes things more logically acceptable. Oh, I can accept that something like this is happening to me if I assign a story to it, or I assign a meaning to it like this, like, oh, I'm being sabotaged, or everything's falling apart. Whatever the narrative is, even if it's not beneficial, it's some sick, twisted way you find comfort in validating that. But I promise you, I can assure you, your surroundings, they are not sentient. They are not out to harm you. The world is not out to harm you. The 3D has no hidden anti-agenda against you. The people in your life don't have some hidden agenda towards you, because they're just you. They're all your assumptions and everything pushed out. So don't fall into the trap. Do not fall into the trap. Do not take the bait. You are different. You are no longer that person anymore. There is nothing that could go on in this 3D. There is not one thing that could go on in this 3D where you will find me telling you to go ahead and start identifying as the person that you were before. Because truth be told, that wasn't even you either. That was never really you either. That was a version of you that was conditioned, again, as well. That was a version of you that was conditioned to think a certain way. I've told y'all before, how many fucking times have I said it? A lot of the thoughts that you have thought in the past were not even of your own thinking, of your own doing. They were things that you accepted as true in passing. And then because you accepted them as true, they hardened into beliefs and then became experiences. But that wasn't really you. So do not flip out if you feel like your 3D doesn't look different. Just be different. Be different. Be different. Continue to be different, because that's the movement. That is the prize. You being a different version of you. I feel like, honestly, the goal should be, if let's say, even though this would never happen, do not freak out. Y'all get so scared with these hypotheticals and stuff. So I'll be trying not to do them, because y'all will cry if y'all hear anything that sounds scary. It's okay. Breathe. Again. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, nothing in your 3D would ever change, right? Let's say nothing in your 3D would ever change. If you changed who you were being in response to your 3D not changing, your 3D would change, because your perspective changed. And so now the fact that nothing has changed doesn't even exist, because you did change. You changed. You made the change. You made the internal shift. So your perspective of shit not changing is that it did change. Because you're so unbothered, you're so unwavering in your beliefs, you're so dead set in your foundational core beliefs about yourself, that you know for a fact that it changed, because you're the change. Like Dylan James says, be the change, bro. Be the change. I think I'm gonna insert the video towards the end of this video of the quote, the video that the lady said on TikTok. I'm gonna give some credit to her, because I don't know, I saw it and it just kind of like touched my spirit. I love the way that she like worded it and everything, and I just wanted to bring that towards y'all, because I know that y'all get frustrated, and I'm telling you right now, you got this in the bag. You can nip this in the butt. If anyone can do it, it's you. Do not be convinced that you are going backwards. You are going onward and upward.
My advice for the rest of August is to honestly don't let your environment trick you to think that you're going backwards. You are a new person. You have a new mindset. You react different. You are aware. So stop tripping.
You know if I'm saying that it's true. All right. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna wrap this up. Y'all already know where y'all can find me. If you want to follow me on Twitter at It's Her Universe, go ahead and follow me. If you would like to follow me on TikTok and Instagram, follow me at TiffriahGrande. And also, I've been using my Law of Assumption Instagram a lot more. So go ahead and follow me on Insta at Law of Assumption Princess. And until next time, you know that I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.